Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. I'm Chris Horner, and this is the women's Clásica San Sebastian. I'm coming to you a day late, but I want to bring it to you folks because if you want to know anything about bike racing tactics, this is the most brilliant tactical racing you could watch and use as experiences for further races down the line. It's the women putting it on with Movistar. They have Van Vleuten in the race, and she just got done winning gold medal at the individual Olympics time trial. Before that, go back to last weekend though, she was racing for Team Netherlands, and that team was horrendous on the tactics. So today's kind of a special day because 1 week ago, Van Vleuten's team with the Netherlands were horrendous throughout the whole Olympic road race. Now 1 week later, racing for her trade team, so you know the whole team is behind her 100%. Now they're racing fantastic, and they're going to use the number one rule on the butterfly effect. Always stay with your race leader. And race leaders should always stay with their teammates until every bit of energy is used up. And those are the tactics we're going to watch today. Now, when the cameras turn on, it's 30K to go. The announcer talked about on the Jaskibel climb, a group of 6 went away and gained 2 minutes. He comments on there about how Movistar managed to miss that break even though they had 3 riders in the front. They did not miss the move. The announcer missed his tactics. Now, when you go back to the race, when they're going up the Jaskibel, I don't have pictures for that because, like I said, it wasn't on camera. But Movistar, and I can tell you from experience, they had already decided what the plan of the day was going to be. And this is such an easy race, tactically wise, to be able to have a shot at a win, a good shot at the win when you have Van Vleuten on your team. You look at the course, about 85 miles in long, 140 kilometers, and it's the last climb, the Morgil, that you know will decide today's race 100%. If you can keep everything wrapped up in a nice, pretty little package at the beginning or very near the beginning of the last climb. It's 10%, 2 kilometers long, and it's going to summit only 8 kilometers from the finish line. So you know with a top quality climber and a fantastic rider, and with a rider who just got done winning the gold medal on Wednesday, so you know she can time trial to the finish, especially when we're talking about a descent and then basically 3K flat all the way into the finish line. Tactics are super simple, and that's what they're employing on today's race. Get their race leader the final climb, let her destroy the field. So when the announcer tells you they missed the move, he's completely wrong. They raced perfectly, they let the move go, they keep the gap close like the Netherlands should have done last week at the Olympics women's road race. The group of 6 up front, you have Anna Tentisteban, Adre Cordon Ragu, Paulina Rojakers, Evita Merzec, Tatiana Gudurso, and Olivia Baril. That group of 6 is working fairly well together, but not fantastic. And we know this because Anna Tentisteban, the Basque rider riding for Bike Exchange, will see her start to argue with her companions in the break. This is a sign that we know the break is not working well together, and she wants it to be more fluid so they can gain maximum time on the field of chasers behind before the last climb starts. This is again where the announcer fails to catch the tactics and explain them to us clearly, the viewers. Now, this is the butterfly effect, so this is what I like to do. She wants to gain maximum time. The announcer is actually telling you that she wants the motorcycle to move out of the way so that they don't get a draft and they can go slower and get caught, or she's arguing with the group to go faster. That's 2 completely different possibilities right there from one scale to the next. We're talking about gaining maximum time or getting caught from the field. She obviously wants to gain maximum time and she wants the group to gel well together. At this point in time, we know it's not perfect, but it has looked decent in terms of how well they've been working together. The problem is when you have 6 girls in the front group like that, you want that break, no matter who you are in there, you want that break to go as fast as you can to gain maximum time before the climb starts. Now, a tactic is often where a rider won't work because the climb is steep at the finish, but it's only 2 kilometers long. If you're one of these 6 riders in this group, you want to gain maximum time. Even if you're not the best, strongest, pure climber out of that group of 6, you still want to gain maximum time because you don't want to have to deal with Movistar behind with Van Vleuten. If Movistar behind catch you, you know your chance of winning the stage is over. So unless you have a teammate in the back that can climb with Van Vleuten, so you're talking about maybe a Trek Segafredo back there, that is about the only person in the front that has any reason to possibly be sitting on. Everyone else doesn't have a teammate that can climb back there with Van Vleuten. So that group of 6 needs to be working 100% well together. And then if you're not the best climber in that group of 6, then you know it's only a 2-kilometer climb. It's wet and raining throughout the whole stage, so the descent is wet. It's a technical descent, so you know if you can't make it in the 2 kilometers with someone from that group of 6, you still have a possibility of going top 6 on the stage, and you still have a small possibility of doing a crazy descent and latching back on to whoever may have dropped you at the top. Instead, the group of 6, their tactics are not fantastic, and they're hesitating a little bit, which will bring the gap closer to the Movistar-led peloton. Just before the climb starts proper, Audrey Cordon-Ragot will throw in the first attack. Now she'll get a gap on the 5 leaders behind as they stay together and try to bring her back. Behind when the climb starts proper, Movistar is down to 1 domestique, but Sarah Martin, the Spanish rider, is doing a fantastic job of employing the #1 rule on the butterfly effect. She is blowing everybody up, and the peloton, which was about 40 riders when the climb started, is now down to 11 or 12. Sarah Martin, you are doing a fantastic job. And this is what I'm talking about for the #1 rule on the butterfly effect. Use up all your teammates' ability and energy to put as many nails into all of the competition legs as you possibly can before you launch the #1 ranked rider in the world, Van Vleuten. And Van Vleuten, you were perfect this week. Last week, absolutely terrible when you're racing with the Netherlands teams, but this week, spot on, beautiful. Praise is all the way around, as much as I can give you. She waits all the way till Sarah Martin blows up and her legs are finished, and then Van Vleuten launches across to the 5 breakaway riders up the road. She'll slot through, just find her way on the right side of the 5 breakaway riders with Trek Segafredo, Ruth Winder trying to hold on for dear life. It won't be enough for Ruth Winder to be able to stay on with Van Vleuten as Van Vleuten bridges across to the Trek Segafredo rider up the road, Audrey Cordon-Ragot. Van Vleuten will come up and fly by Audrey and just continue riding solo with 1K to the summit of the climb. Now, we all know watching bike racing, if you can get to the summit of the climb and it's only 8K to the finish line, with a half of that being descent, that there's a good chance you can win solo, and Van Vleuten is flying. She'll go over the top with about a 50-second lead on the Trek Segafredo rider, Ruth Winder. Ruth Winder had the option at the top of the climb to wait for Rujackers, the live rider, or continue on solo to try to catch Van Vleuten, who's going up the road. Van Vleuten, with 5 kilometers to go, goes into the right turn and almost crashes. This is the same turn that basically took out 2 of the men's racers out of the breakaway, but Van Vleuten goes through there and manages to come out of it alive. Spectacular job of saving the bike for Van Vleuten. She goes into that turn same way that the men's went. Not all the way from the left side of the road. She went from the center, just a little bit left of the center line, and it's just not enough to make that right turn when it hooks after. So it's the right with a hook into it. She comes into that turn just like the men's race, realizes she's not going to be able to make the turn and has to shoot straight. What is impressive? When she shoots straight, she gets a little bit further out of the corner than the men's did, because the men's are going a little bit faster, so they're not going to be able to make the turn as far. When we see Van Vleuten, she'll turn a little bit further, but the problem is now is she has the manhole steel cover that's in front of her, and remember, it's wet and slippery on the descent. It doesn't get any slipperier for bicycle tires with 110 psi or 100 psi in their tires when you're hitting an absolute steel plate there. We'll see her hit the steel plate, her bike slides a little bit and throws her into the gutter. Now this was amazing because a lot of the times the gutters in Europe are a lot rougher because the streets are older and they've had more time to settle a little bit. So she goes into the gutter and still is able to come out of the gutter without crashing, going all the way through the rest of the descent, making the turns no problem. Coming out along the coast, we'll see her hard on the pedals, drilling it all the way to the finish line to take a fantastic victory in today's women's Clásica San Sebastián. Immediately after the finish, we'll hear her talking with one of her soigneurs about how she loved the way the tactics were played. She's interviewed after that for winning the stage and talks about Movistar just racing 100% perfect today. And I got to agree with her. It was absolutely brilliant and so fun for me to watch when the tactics were 100% spot on and the best woman in the race won today. Fantastic job, Van Vleuten, and amazing win, amazing team victory for Movistar on today's Clásica San Sebastián. Now behind the American Ruth Winder, this is her last season of racing, crosses the line for second on today's race. Sprinting in for the last podium spot is Tatiana Guderzo. And I want to point this out because she was one of the original 6 in the break. Now, when we go back to the summit of the last climb, she wasn't even the first of that 6 to summit. So this is what I'm talking about on the importance of tactics in the break. If you don't have a shot at winning from the peloton and you need maximum time before you get to that climb, you don't always have to be the best climber. Clearly, Guderzo was not one of the best climbers out of that group of 6, but yet she still managed to catch the better climbers out of that group of 6 and win the sprint for a podium spot on today's stage. Fabulous ride, Tatiana. Great job making the podium on today's stage and being in the break all day long. It was a fabulous race for the women. The tactics were spot on. They used the #1 rule on the butterfly effect. Everyone in the top 10, fantastic ride on today's stage. The Movistar team, beautiful. If you like the butterfly effect, make sure you like and subscribe. The jerseys I got up here, I'll post a link to right here if you're interested. Remember, the yellow is only going to be for sale for 2 more weeks before we discontinue that color. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys real soon.